Damn, it feels good to be back. Grossi Packer Nation! Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Well, got 4 more holes in my face than I had last week, Grossi, and today I was going to be doing a breakdown of wide receiver targets for the Green Bay Packers in the 2021 NFL Draft. However, breaking news, Sam Darnold has been traded to the Carolina Panthers, so had to throw that in the garbage, and I guess we'll talk about that tomorrow. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout and thank you to some brand new patrons and YouTube members. First, on the Patreon side of things, we have Keith A. Layton, and we have 802 Fisherman. A big shout out and thank you to you both. And because we're behind a week, a big shout and thank you to a bunch of brand new YouTube members joining the Grossi posse. We got Demonic Executioner, Little Pizza Boy 64, Garland Cyrus, Daniel NYC, Ryan Washburn, Shane from New Zealand, RLC SG2 Fan, Quinster, Colin and Conrad, and Josh Wilcox. A big shout out and thank you to you all. So yeah, you see this guy? This is what I spent my entire day doing. We were watching film. I was taking so many notes on wide receiver targets, and then we're not talking about that because Sam Darnold has been traded to the Carolina Panthers, and this is not terribly surprising considering that it was heavily rumored, and we talked about this 2 weeks ago, that the Jets were most likely going to get Zach Wilson. And so this kind of just solidifies bye-bye Sam Darnold. It was just a matter of what team was he going to go to, and it looks like it's going to be the Carolina Panthers. Now, the haul in what the Carolina Panthers had to give up, a 2021 6th-round pick and a 2022 2nd and 4th round pick. So, honestly, not too bad for the former number 3 overall pick. Good job, Jets. You ruined him. Now, I've spoken about Sam Darnold on this show ad nauseum before, and while I don't think he is an amazing, elite, godlike quarterback based on what we've seen thus far, I also don't think it's possible to pin all of the Jets' problems on Sam Darnold. I mean, 1, you had Adam Gase as your head coach, so right off the bat, I mean, you have so much leeway there. 2, he didn't really have an offensive line and got murdered behind there every single season. 3, what weapons did he have? Even Robbie Anderson was like, deuces, yeah, I'm going to leave, which now they get to reunite and it feels so good. And I think that right off the bat, this is a win for both teams. You look at the Jets organization, in which they, of course, didn't get a 1st-round pick, which I'm sure they were looking for, but a 2nd and a 4th next year isn't too bad, especially if Darnold winds up not working out. And more importantly, the fact that they're getting a new QB, so what are they going to do with Sam Darnold? But more importantly is that they got a brand new head coach, and so it makes sense that now you're going to kind of give him the reins completely and say, hey, here you go. You now don't have to fit into a box of inheriting a quarterback that you didn't select. You have the 2nd overall pick. You get to build the team that you want to build. Have fun. So in that sense, it's a win for the New Jersey Jets. Now, if you look at the Carolina Panthers, this is a potential steal. Could it not work out and it could be a bust? Sure. However, the Panthers really are in a great situation here. Firstly, Sam Darnold right this second is only 23 years old. He'll be 24 when the season starts. And so he's still a young quarterback with a ton of career left if he does well. Secondly, he does have the familiarity with Robbie Anderson, and so I'm sure that will be a major connection. And thirdly, he actually has weapons on this team now. Not only Robbie Anderson, but of course you have Christian McCaffrey, and you also have DJ Moore. Throw on top of that you actually have competent coaches that will be guiding him, looking at offensive coordinator Joe Brady and of course head coach Matt Rule. And while Panthers fans would have loved to get a guy like Deshaun Watson, I think that this could wind up being a really great move for your franchise. Let's go worst case scenario. If it doesn't work out, you lost a 6th round this year, which means absolutely nothing. And then next year you lose a 2nd and a 4th. It hurts, but it's not the end of the world. And if your team still does poorly, you'll still be picking in the top 10 next year. So you could get a quarterback then. In addition, with the amount of quarterbacks that are probably going to go within the top 5, I can't imagine that there was going to be a quarterback that the Panthers were really pining for that was going to fall to number 8. And so it wasn't going to be this year anyway, unless they were able to really move some draft capital to move up in this draft. And this also gives them a ton of freedom now with the number 8 pick. Do they decide to go and continue to build on defense like they did last year? Do they go and potentially get a game breaker like Kyle Pitts if he falls to number 8? Honestly, they could do whatever the hell they want. And if you look at Sam Darnold's stats from last year, they're obviously not great. Played 12 games, 217 for 364, 59.6% completion rating, 2,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. But as I've said, the guy had no weapons, he had terrible coaching, and he had no offensive line. Now, Teddy Bridgewater did get sacked over 30 times last year, so maybe they decide to build up that offensive line a little bit more, but this is a much better situation for Sam Darnold. And we're about to see, was it the Jets that really were the problem, or was it Sam Darnold and maybe he's just not cut out to be a QB? Now, we also have to talk about Teddy Bridgewater, who is still under contract. He's in his 2nd year of his 3-year contract with the Carolina Panthers. And the Panthers can't just flat out cut him because he would be $20 million in dead cap if they just straight up released him. So NFL.com was saying that they're most likely looking to trade him. I don't know how many offers they're going to potentially get on Teddy Bridgewater, but maybe they'll be able to recoup some of those mid-round picks that they lost for next year. And to be completely honest, I know I mentioned this on the show before, the Carolina Panthers actually were pretty good last season. I know their record is not great considering they're picking at number 8, but they had some really close contested games with some high-quality opponents. They almost beat the Chiefs. They almost beat the Packers. And I mean, those are 2 teams. One of them went to the Super Bowl and one went to the NFC Championship game. So, I mean, they can get it done. They are a young team that is on the rise. And if Sam Darnold is able to have a renaissance within his career, I think that this could just be an automatic win for the Panthers. We'll see how this works out, as the Jets are going to be playing the Panthers next season, so that should be a lot of fun. But I love this move both for the Jets and also the Panthers. I think the Panthers got a potentially better part of the deal, but we have to see what happens when Sam Darnold takes the reins. But I'm curious of what you think down in the comments below. Who do you think won this trade? Panthers fans, are you happy? Jets fans, are you happy? Let me know what you think. You could always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or TomGrossiComedy at all social media. See down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout out and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But we will be back for just another Madden Monday at 7:45 Eastern after, of course, the GOAT Aaron Rodgers hosts Jeopardy. I gotta watch that first. But we'll be here live 7:45. I'll see you then. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.